Welcome back to the Coming Out Happy podcast. We're your hosts, Danny and Keely, your LGBTQ plus life coaches. As an LGBTQ plus adult, we know it can be complicated, but here's where we break it all down for you, and you can learn all about becoming your most authentic self so you can create really healthy relationships. Our goal from this podcast is to help you uncover all that makes you who you are and step into that future you. This podcast is your weekly check-in to focus on yourself and start taking actions towards the life and relationships you've always wanted.
If you're listening on Apple Podcasts and you love this episode, make sure you leave a 5-star review or rating. We can't wait to hear from you. Now let's get into it. What's up, everyone? It's Danny and Keely. We are so happy you're tuning in with us today and really just taking some time. It's so important that you do that for yourself. We're going to have an amazing topic for you today, but before we get into it, there's a few things that I want you to know. So if you're not following us on Instagram yet, at Coming Out Happy, make sure you head on over there. That's where you're going to catch us on Mondays. Every single Monday on our lives, we go live at 3 p.m. PST, 6 p.m. EST. So figure out which time zone you're in and make sure you put it on your calendar. We can't wait to see you there. It's all about self-growth, reflection, and really diving into who you are. We have a lot of fun on Mondays. And then every Friday, we're going to post this podcast for you. So make sure you subscribe, download, maybe set a little reminder again for yourself. That way you can really stay in touch and make sure that you are taking that time out of your week for this self-growth and discovery journey that you're currently on. And then if you're really loving the lives, the posts, everything that we do, you can't get enough of this podcast. I'm telling you right now, you're going to want to check out our program, Pride Amplified. It's all about stepping into your most authentic self and creating really healthy relationships. Danny and I are here to support and guide you all along the way. And sometimes you just need a little bit of accountability and support to get you there. And that's exactly what we do with you. So thank you so much. We are super excited to get into our episode today. And let's get into it. Hey, it's Keely and Danny. I hope you're doing well on this lovely day today. Wherever you're tuning in from, we're so happy to have you here. I know it's going to be a great episode, something that's been coming up a lot lately, and Danny and I can relate to on so many different levels, is that there's a lot of people that feel like in their life, everything is going really well, right? So let's just think about this. On the outside, you have a good job. Maybe you bought a house. You did all of the things that you were supposed to do. And if you could see me right now, I'm talking with quotations, supposed to do. But you still feel like there's something inside that's really, really wrong and you're missing. And I felt this way so much when I was trying to navigate all of this. So let me give you a little backstory. Everything for me had to do with I put myself so much into my career. I was doing really, really well. I was doing incredible things, traveling everywhere, all over the U.S., and I was in a really great position. People really looked up to me. I was leading a lot of people. It seemed really, really great, right? On the outside, that's what people want to see, that you're being successful, that you're doing a lot of different things, that you're, well-versed in all of these areas. But on the inside, when I would spend time with myself and I wasn't spending all my time in my career, my work, and all of this, I felt so alone. I felt like I didn't know who I was. And it hurt. It hurt a lot because I was so successful on the outside, but I had nothing to show for it on the inside. Danny, can you relate a little bit to that?
Absolutely. I mean, just like you, I was working my butt off in my career in so many different ways. For me, I started working on writing books and personal development when I was just 16 years old. I mean, I grew up around it with my mom and my dad being entrepreneurs, and I dove so deep into learning about personal development and giving my all into helping other people that honestly, it was a distraction from myself. All I would do is focus on creating a business that was sustainable, that was impressive because I was in high school at the time. I ran another company when I was in college. I was just doing so many different things, even just at the young age of 16, 17, 18. And all it was really distracting me from creating a life that I really loved because I was so distracted with those things. So on paper, everything seemed so great in my life, but I was struggling with a deep secret of not loving who I am and also being LGBTQ+.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing that. You definitely resembled somebody that was high achiever, wanting to live this life of success. And, it looked great on the outside, but I'm sure you felt something completely different on the inside. And that's how I felt too. A lot of the people that come to us, and maybe you're listening to the podcast right now and you're resonating so much, is that they're really struggling to be confident in who they are. Maybe they're confident on the outside, but it's so shaky on the inside, and they don't feel like they're worthy of love, and they don't feel like they're worth it in a lot of different ways in their personal relationships.
And I think there's a difference in being confident in your career versus being confident in yourself, in your personal relationships. Yeah. That is such a different part of your life, and I feel like me and you both, Keely, were very confident in what we were doing, but when it came to our personal relationships, we just had so much more to work on that we were just kind of ignoring at the time because we were so hyper focused on one part of our life that it was not balanced.
Yeah. Absolutely. And here's what we wanted, and you may be listening and you're like, yep, that's what I want too. We really wanted to find love. That was the goal, to find a partner, to have somebody to enjoy our lives with. When you're making money, you have a house, all of these things, you want someone to come into the picture and you want to spend some time with them and you want to be able to share that experience. The thing about human connection is that we all love to be connected to one another. We love that connection, whether we like to admit it or not. We're here on this earth not to be alone, but to have community, to have support, to have interpersonal relationships. And that's all I wanted. But my relationships were struggling so much because I couldn't find somebody that was aligned with who I was. I kept attracting these people that maybe weren't the best fit because I never took time to heal and love myself. And that's really what we want to bring attention to today, is that maybe you're not taking enough time for yourself. Danny, can you touch on this a little bit?
Yeah, so the whole reason for this episode is really diving into when we're only focusing on one part of our life and we're not paying attention to something else, we're giving up a part of our focus. We're giving up a part of our life that could need improvement. So let's just say you're really focused on your work. Everything seems really great. You just got a house. You just did all the things that you felt like you were supposed to do. Everybody is proud of you, but there's something that feels really unfulfilled in your life.
Yeah.
And you were talking about love, and I want to give a different example. It's being comfortable being alone, because that is something that you were definitely struggling with, which is why you were jumping into relationships.
That is exactly what it was.
Yeah, and I was still uncomfortable alone even when I wasn't in relationships. So I was just uncomfortable with who I was, and I was kind of masking it with creating all these different parts of my life that people could look at. But the truth is, I didn't really take any time to look within, to look at myself, ask myself these deep questions. Am I even happy with the life that I'm creating? It may seem really great. I have a cool job. I'm doing these cool things. But am I actually happy? Am I living a life that I want to continue to live? Am I practicing gratitude in my life? Am I grateful for the things that I have? And I think taking a look at the whole picture and seeing if you're actually happy is a way to figure out if anything needs to be changed. Figuring out if your relationships are suffering, if you need to improve on the relationship you have with yourself. I feel like life just gets so busy that a lot of us just don't pay attention to when we're feeling really uncomfortable in ourselves because we're so busy with work. That's just a thing that a lot of us do, and it's totally normal. Yeah. But looking within is the hard part, and asking yourself, are we actually fulfilled? Are we actually happy with what we're doing? Even in our job, are we happy with our job? Is it making us miserable? Are the people around us making us miserable? Do I want to create new friendships, new relationships, a new relationship with myself? All of these different questions are just so helpful to figure out if you're fulfilled in your life, if that's what you want to be.
Yeah, Danny, you asked a lot of really great questions in there that I think that everyone that's listening should really take time to journal, write out, and answer. But the question that you asked that really struck a chord with me that I wish I would have asked myself sooner was, am I living a life that I'm fulfilled? And am I living a life that's fulfilling to me? Does it feel aligned? Does it feel, like I'm satisfied with where I am? And I think when I sat down and I really asked myself that question, I broke down and I said no. I remember specifically crying to you, Danny, if we want to open up and share that story a little bit, of when I asked myself what I should do next in my career. I was so caught up in everything that I was doing and all my accomplishments and everything that I had led me to. But when I actually sat down to think about it and I had a choice to make, and I give you a little bit of background, when I had a choice to make about a job offer that I had received, and I wasn't sure if I wanted to continue the work that I was doing because they asked me to move somewhere. I really didn't want to move. And I had to ask myself, is it worth having all this success on the outside to feel so unfulfilled in the inside? And I broke down to Danny and I said, no, I have to do something different. Do you remember that day? Can you talk from your perspective what that was like? I mean, I was scared to death.
Yeah, I think I know I remember it very clearly because it was such a huge event. But I think the main thing that I took away from that is that you were starting to trust yourself on a completely different level than you had trusted yourself before. And as we're talking about fulfillment, it could be in your work, or it could be in the relationship you have with yourself, or it could be uncovering if you're LGBT, or if you're settling for less than you deserve, if you're creating the relationships that you want. Feeling fulfilled is a part of your entire life. And I think it's really defining which area for you feel unfulfilled in and working on how to create the life that you actually want to be living. If we're just going, and we're completely unaware of what's going on, I mean, if we're being honest here, a lot of the people that we work with are LGBTQ plus adults who really are coming out later in life. They're coming out in their 30s, 40s, 50s, even 60s sometimes, and they're just trying to figure out if it's too late for them because they've waited all of this time. And I feel like at some point they discover that they may not be as fulfilled as they thought they were. And, time has just kind of gone by and they've done everything that they were supposed to be doing, in quotations again. But at some point they realize, I'm not happy anymore. And I want to start living a life that's for me. But back to your story about changing your career path, you realized that you weren't going to be fulfilled in your career. And you knew that you had an opportunity, that you were privileged enough to have an opportunity to quit that and come work with me. Mm-hmm. And I think that's a really great thing that you were able to do, but you were following your heart. You were following your intuition and trusting your gut for what you wanted and what you needed in this life. And I think not even just that, Key, you've also started to trust yourself when it came to your relationships, when it came to setting boundaries in your life. You were finding fulfillment in these different areas in your life, and it all came from trusting yourself and working on yourself.
Yeah, it definitely, and I appreciate you just sharing your perspective of what it was like for you. I think being on the other side of it too can be, completely different. It's something where you've experienced it in your own way, and I think the question that you have to ask yourself is, are you fulfilled with where you are in your life right now? As coaches, what we do and what we get to do, I'm so happy about, is that we get to help and support and guide you to where you want to go next. That's so special to me because I know that it sucks sometimes to just stay stuck in exactly where you are, and you can feel like every single day is the same. But when you're actually able to have some clarity, you have somebody come into your life and you're able to uncover blocks that maybe you haven't touched in a while, or things that you can't see because you're in it every single day, you're able to move forward. You're able to see a clear path towards what you're supposed to do. And it's never us telling you what to do. It's all coming from within you. I want you to know right now that you have the answers already. You have the answers to everything that you need in this life. And Danny and I are here to just support and guide you and give you that little push to get to where you want to go. I hope that this resonated with you today and you were able to connect in some way Danny and we created Pride Amplified, our group program, to help you step into your most authentic self and find fulfillment in every single area of your life, whether that's your relationships, your career, your friends, your any area of your life. But really, it starts with going within and understanding who you are. And that's all that we talk about, all that we dive into. We would love to be a part of your journey and just connect with you and learn more about you too. It's so special to be able to connect in this way and for you to listen to this podcast and then for us to connect with you on the other side. So we'd love to learn more about you. Please fill out an application. You can click the link that Danny will link here in the show notes, or you can go over to our Instagram at Coming Out Happy on Instagram, and you can send us a message, and I will personally send you the link to apply to learn about more information, to see how we can best support you and what that'll look like for you in your life. Thank you so much for tuning in today. Thank you so much for listening. We know that you have so much power within you, and we'll see you so soon.